What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 3 of Enter the Javelin, Mixer's first Anthem community web show. My name is Lupo. If you haven't been here before, we got another great show lined up for you today. But first, I want to thank everyone for coming out and continuing support on Mixer, Twitter, Discord, and Instagram. So tonight's guest, we have my good friend Sly from Sly Nation Gaming on YouTube. Sly covers a lot of looter shooter content on his channel, like Destiny, Division, but also shares the same affinity I have for looter shooters and sci-fi shooters like Mass Effect, which made Anthem coverage a no-brainer. So Sly, just tell us a little bit about how you got started with YouTube and what drove you to content creation.
Well, actually, man, it was like I was a gamer like everybody else. You know, I just started out just playing games, and randomly people started saying, you know, you're really good at these raids. You should start making guides. And I kind of blew it off at first as like a, you know, that was nice of them, but you know, I'm not gonna really start a channel on it. And then one of my clan members told me the same thing. And finally, I went on to Twitch, and I'm not going to name the guy here, but I saw a live streamer, and he was just treating his like viewers like just dirt, you know. Like he looked at, I remember this so much. He looked in the top left hand of the screen, and his face just got red. And he said, if there's no donations in the next 5 minutes, I'm not streaming for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's awful.
That's exactly what he, like, word for word, exactly what he said. And I was like, wow, this guy is just a straight up, you know, piece. You know, it's like I can treat people way better while giving like much better content. And so the next day I hopped on my computer and made my first video.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you know, you kind of explained it, but like, so you started with Destiny, right?
Yeah.
So
originally.
What led you into, you know, other games of that type of lineage?
It's the friend combination, you know. You meet a lot of awesome people, like you, for instance. You know, like games bring people together everywhere. Like you never know who you're gonna meet the first day, the last day you play. And I started a clan based on it, and we're all good friends, like in real life. So we text each other all the time, and it's one of those things where if you can go out and you can do a challenging activity with your friends, I mean, what else would you really want to waste your time with, you know?
Yeah, like I say the same thing to my wife all the time. Like I used to be like a big partier before I got like really like deep into Destiny.
Oh yeah.
And now it's more like, why am I gonna go out and, you know, party and when I can just stay home and do awesome things with my friends and get sweet loot? Like that's that's the way I see it now. Like
yeah, exactly, man. I was the same way.
You know, I think a lot of people share that now, where they just much rather do you know, spend $60 on a game and get a lot out of it than go out and gallivant, if you will, and do those particular things.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So I met you, or I mean, we didn't meet you. Like this is actually the first time, like face to face, that we're kind of talking, you know. But we started talking last year around the launch of Andromeda.
Andromeda, yeah.
You know, so I think you had a really great take on a lot of the content, and you were all about it, all in there. Every couple of days, any kind of little bit of things that they showed us, you were giving it to us. So with the reception that we had for that game, what made you kind of like turn and say, like, I don't know, like with the reception of the game, like how do you want to continue like with your channel after that? I
mean, it's games fail, you know, people try new things. It sometimes doesn't work, sometimes it's awesome. And I personally believe in Bioware. Like I know it was their first real game. They've made DLCs before the Montreal studio, and even though I'm not gonna get into, of course, the you know, the ending of all that, but it wasn't a down in the dumps game. It wasn't absolutely terrible.
No,
I mean there are way other games out there that are just I'm not gonna get into that. But anyway, so like I believe in Bioware as a whole. When they come together as a company, like Dragon Age Inquisition's Game of the Year, they make amazing things. And it's one of those things where no matter what that is, I'm sticking to my beliefs of like how they used to make Mass Effect, how they can make a whole universe come to life, and it's riding on that basis that I think they can do the same thing for a brand new IP.
And I think you brought up something that people fail to recognize, that 2 of BioWare Edmonton's last 3 titles were Game of the Year. Like people don't recognize that. You know, Mass Effect 2 was actually Game of the Year a year after it came out.
Yeah.
You know, like it came out in 2010. It was Game of the Year in 2011 when it launched for all platforms. You know, it was only on Xbox first and went to PlayStation a year later, and then it won Game of the Year. I mean, 2010 was stacked though. That was a big problem. Like you had Call of Duty 4. You had I'm sorry, is that Modern Warfare 2? Modern Warfare 1 or Modern Warfare 2. One of the Modern Warfares came out in 2010. I always forget which one, but it's like,
Yeah, they launched them so
game
fast.
changing. You know, Red Dead was out the same year, so it had a lot of things to go up against, and to take home that accolade a year after the fact was huge. And then, you know, Dragon Age Inquisition went against Destiny.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it still came out on top as Game of the Year, you know. So it's really a testament to what Bioware Edmonton can do. And I agree. I have full confidence in what they can do with Anthem, and everything we've seen so far has been phenomenal. I mean, the 7 minutes. Every time I bring someone on, you got to reiterate that it's only 7 minutes. That's all we have.
Everything we know is based off of that.
Yeah. So, what kind of things are churning in your head right now about what you want to do in regards to Anthem as far as content creation goes?
Well, it's kind of the same thing I want to do for Mass Effect. I want to just like I want to be the kind of person to show I wouldn't say the good side in gaming, but the positive atmosphere is something that could be created. Like there's so many channels out there that just dwell on hate. Like people just they make hate channels just because of the drama and the views, and that's not what I'm really all about.
Yeah.
Like I want to bring out the good of what could be, what I hope happens, and just see where it goes from there. Like nothing, just because one little thing might change or go wrong, it doesn't mean it's going to be a complete washout. And so I think trying to be the person that stays positive is a good thing to have in a community.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point too, because it's been really prevalent lately, within the last 2 to 3 months, that people are taking any little tiny negative thing that they could twist around and make into a big deal in regards to Anthem. Like you said, you talk about Twitch people. I won't name the people on YouTube because we all know who they are. But a lot of people are just driving these the negative narratives, and it's not a good look for the future. And people want to be excited for things. At least I think that people want to be excited for things. Like I want to be excited for things.
I mean, the hype is what drives most of the community, and that is a good thing.
But it's a little concerning that people are just so ready to jump on the hate train and just say, we're gonna write this thing off before it gets here. And like, why?
it's still the hate for EA, I believe. I think it's just because it has a name attached to it.
Yeah, that's a big thing as well. That is definitely a big thing. But people fail to recognize that EA has been there the entire time.
I remember growing up on when I was playing Sega, like EA Sports. It's in the game. I used to play the hockey, and that was
NHL '94 was my jam.
Yeah. They started like the gaming revolution basically. Then of course a few others, but like I can't say that it's all not well reserved. I mean, there were some questionable changes, but like I said before, I don't think any game developer, whether it's a publisher or an actual game dev studio, wants to bring out something that people are just gonna absolutely hate. There's so much stuff going on in gaming. Gaming like creation is just so intense, so just complicated that I don't think everything works the way they think it's going to when it's on paper until it actually launches and they're like, oh shit, we just made a mistake,
Yeah.
That's
and I don't think Bioware would be where they are right now. And I mean, Aaron Flynn said the same thing, that they wouldn't have the opportunities that they had without a company like EA. They kind of pulled them from the bottom and said, like, not necessarily from the bottom, because they were always like a storied developer, but there was definitely financial issues there that EA said that, hey, look, like we have good confidence in your product and what you can bring out, so we're gonna support you and just keep knocking it out of the park. EA has been there from Mass Effect 1. Like, they acquired Bioware right before Mass Effect 1 launched. So I mean, it's technically a Microsoft IP because they own the rights to it at the time, but basically from then on. So Dragon Age Origins, Mass Effect 2, Dragon Age Inquisition, Mass Effect 3, Dragon Age 2, all EA properties, and they were there to like usher this, this era of Bioware greatness. People want to say that Baldur's Gate and all the older games, Neverwinter Nights, and they're good. I'm not going to say that they're not good because I'd be lying to myself, but
yeah, definitely.
They were propelled to this, mega studio, like this storied franchise, developer by EA, and people don't want to recognize it.
Yeah, they gave them the tools what they really needed to propel themselves.
Yeah,
and that's one thing I think every game studio is looking for in a big publisher, is to try to keep the rights to your story and your the creativity, while having the tools necessary to like do what you want to do. And I think it's there's been some rocky choices recently, and I think that's stirred a lot of people up. But it's one of those things where I think by now people get it. I think that now that they made the big change within the company, and I think going forward we're going to see a different side of things.
I would have to agree. I think with the negative reception of
Battlefront
2, and just like the overall reception of the launch of Andromeda. I mean, post-launch, Andromeda was pretty well, except for the fact of not getting
the DLC.
The DLC. I think everything went smoothly. So basically, from April to June, things were awesome for Andromeda. But after that, it was just all downhill. After they said no DLC and everything like that.
They actually just had an update a couple weeks ago. I remember seeing it on.
Well,
Twitter.
yeah, they do. I mean, they still have like continued updates. But that made me turn another thing that we'll bring up in a little bit.
Okay.
I do. While we're still on the topic of EA and Bioware.
Sure.
Aaron Flynn was recently interviewed at GDC by Jason Schreier of Kotaku, and one of the things that he brought up was the fact that Frostbite, because obviously like Frostbite's a big issue with how the development of Andromeda went.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a new thing that they're working with. They're implementing new systems to make a game like Andromeda work, which I personally think is they may have just slapped a Mass Effect label on it to test things while they're trying to make Anthem, which that's a whole other rabbit hole, tinfoil hat type of thing. But it was BioWare's choice to go with the Frostbite engine. It wasn't EA trying to bottleneck them into an idea. It was Aaron, and Aaron Flynn said it was mostly his decision, because they had to leave their own, because Mass Effect was all their own engine. They built that engine from the ground up, and they decided they needed to do something new, something more cutting edge, and they chose Frostbite. So what do you think is a reception to other people with that? Because I know obviously like people are going to have their reservations with whether that's a true statement or not.
You mean like about
Aaron Flynn admitting to it that it's their thing, not EA pushing it on them.
Yeah, I mean, well, they have creativity rights, like, so it's not like they sold their complete soul to the devil or anything. They make the game. So if that's the technical way they want to go, then I believe that statement. I wouldn't see any other way. Why? I mean, it's a good like a good program to use. It's just it's another one of those things. Like I said earlier, it's just so technically advanced now. There's so many things you can do with it.
Yeah.
That you have to learn this thing. You have to learn how to use the entire thing and all these new systems. So like I believe it.
And I think moving forward, it's just going to be much more smooth using an in-house engine, because people are a lot closer. It's not as difficult to get support on something that's an in-house engine. EA wants it to be as smooth as possible. So if people at DICE have to go to Montreal for a week, a month, whatever it is, to make sure that development goes smoothly, they're going to do it. It's not like you use an Unreal and you have to call up Epic and say, hey, we can't get this thing to work. It's not like that. It's much more supportive from your own team.
Yeah, everything is a lot. You can get a problem solved a lot faster.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll jump into the couple of things that have come up recently. So we'll talk about another game that you cover, Division, because in a recent Ubisoft earnings call, it said that it's going to launch in the same time window as Anthem. So they're saying Q1 2019 is going to be Anthem, and is going to be Division 2, and it's kind of built in the same vein, but it's more of like a realistic style shooter as opposed to like a sci-fi fantasy type of thing.
Yeah.
Besides you losing every ounce of sleep possible in that time frame, like what does that have to do like with the overall reception between the two games?
I really think that there's plenty of people, like, there are hardcore Division fans out there now.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Even though I covered it for, like, I did Destiny in the very start, but Division is actually what got me noticed. That's what actually propelled my channel in the beginning. And even though things went sour with them as well, they had a big learning curve. That was their first kind of MMO style game as well. I think there's enough people in both areas that love sci-fi shooters, looter shooters, and people that love the realistic, New York like cityscape kind of deal. So I think there's plenty of people to go around to love both games and them both be successful. And the good thing about, even though we're launching around the same time, creates a lot of, I guess, competition in the very beginning in terms of like initial sales. I think in the long run it'll both benefit the companies, because anytime there's competition, whether it's Destiny, Division, PC games, competition creates creativity and innovation. And I think that's no matter what people think about it, it's going to be good for them.
And I think that's the most exciting thing, because you can see how Destiny influenced the development of Division, and the launch of Division influenced Destiny to become better. And now, throwing a third hat into the mix with Anthem, and even potentially, we may get a Borderlands 3 launch here too, which is not necessarily like a sandbox game like that, but it's going to be a looter shooter, a game that's going to pull people's time devotion to it too. That we might not see Borderlands 3 until later in 2019, but it's still in the conversation because of we're all talking about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. But all of these games being around the same time is a great thing for each other. I think it's really going to push each game to be good at one particular thing, so that if you say I like the guns and I want the guns, then you sit there and you focus on the guns, and Borderlands has all the guns, so that's where you go. If you want the cool abilities, and Anthem's got the cool abilities, you go over there. If you want some scenery and
realistic
lifestyle type of things, you go to Division. So I think everything's gonna have its own like
place.
Yeah, its own highlight where they really shine in their development.
Yeah, if you look at recent games, even though I'm not a huge fan of it, but the Battle Royale thing going on everywhere, even though I think it'll probably die out in a year and a half or so, but like Black Ops 4 is pretty much devoting, they're taking away, the single player campaign, just going right for Battle Royale and multiplayer. And so whatever they do is going to iterate on what, PUBG learned as far whatever, all the other ones go to. So I think in the end, they all benefit from competition to help raise their own IP.
Yeah, you can see it right now. Like, they are directly influencing each other, and these games have to get better because of what the other one is doing. Even when you had Boss Key put out Radical Heights for the few weeks that it was out, so like they closed up shop and they're done, but still, like, they had to come out and test the limit a little bit and see what they can do, and make a splash in the market. Like, it didn't work as well as they wanted it to, and I think they were a little I think they were on the outs after how bad Lawbreakers did, but that's a whole different story. But it's true that other games are just going to make other the games that we all love better. So if I don't want to automatically jump to the whole Destiny killer thing, and I think that's where a lot of people want to go, or a Division killer. That's just not the way to look at it. And I picked up Division because it was interesting looking enough to buy it, but what really pushed me to try it more was the fact that Destiny Killer was all over it. Like, you go to the press, it says Destiny Killer. I was like, I put over 1,000 hours into Destiny already. Like, if this game is the Destiny Killer, I have to have it. So that's kind of the way. That's kind of the way I looked at it. And
I actually saw something on the first week it came out. Like, I don't know if they have like fictional names for all their stories or all their stores in the Division. But if you look at their bank, it's called Universal Destiny Banking Group. I don't even notice that.
No, I didn't. Well, it's funny you say that too, because like Fortnite is very popular with a lot of the Destiny PvP players now.
Yeah.
And they put a graveyard in it, and on one of the headstones it said "Rest in peace, D2."
Oh man.
So everyone's throwing their jabs out there, So, but I think looking at it that way is the worst way to look at it, because I don't think that any particular game coming out in the near future is going to kill anybody's success, at all. It's just going to make people, make other games breed more innovation and make a better game in all aspects for every company doing it. I think Division has been out long enough for them to have their own fan base. Borderlands has been out long enough to have their own fan base. Same thing goes with Destiny, and Anthem is the new kid on the block. They have the ones to prove. They have the ones to prove everything right now. They're not going to come in here and try to shake everything up. They're trying to make a name for themselves.
There's too many. The gaming's too big. Like, I was talking about it earlier. It's bigger than all the music, the film industry, and something combined. That's
At this point, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that is a huge market cap, and that means there's a lot of people playing. So there's a plenty of audience to go around to to make everything successful.
Yeah, Radel's talking in chat there. Borderlands has to have a fan base. Oh wait, I am the fan base. I mean, it's quiet. It's quiet right now, but the second you get a snippet of news about Borderlands, people will be all over it again.
They're gonna explode.
It'll be absolutely insane because you see, like they had at GDC 2 years ago. They showed a tiny little thing about how they're working with like lighting and stuff like that, and people ate it up. They're like, "It's coming out next year. It's gonna be out right now," and that's all they need. That's all people need. I was looking in Freelancers Codex. I don't know if you follow them. They do an Anthem podcast. One of their guys found one of the Mass Effect Andromeda launch trailers from 2014, and it showed in there some of the things they were working on from Anthem, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, because I remembered Shadow Realms at one time, and then they're kind of working on Anthem at the same time, because there's so many different things that they were doing at one time. They were working on they were working on closing up Inquisition, Mass Effect Andromeda, Shadow Realms was still on the table at that point, and Anthem. So they're working on 4 IPs at once, and that's just up north. Plus they were working on Star Wars down south. So they had 5 different IPs that they were working on actively.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I think even though they're still supporting a little bit of Andromeda and of course Star Wars, you bring all those offices working on one thing together, and you can get a lot done.
Yeah, I agree. So with that said, we'll talk about personnel a little bit. Is that another producer working on that worked on Andromeda, Inquisition, a redacted title that they don't want to talk about, and I've seen a couple devs bring that up now, a redacted title, and Anthem. Blair Brown, he's going to be leaving Bioware in July to go work for Respawn, which is another EA studio. I believe he's working on the Star Wars project. So they're doing I think a bounty hunter style game, which is going to be interesting to see given their lineage with Titanfall. But
yeah, I know they had the next one coming up. I just wasn't sure what direction they were going. I haven't really.
I saw an E3 leak that said bounty hunter, so I think that might be where they're going. That's kind of like my guess at this point.
Okay.
But with that said, there's a whole bunch of other losses over the course of the last year. You had Aaron Flynn last summer, as the GM of BioWare. You had Drew Karpyshyn left a few months ago after. I guess his work is done there, but he had left. He had come back. Storied writer. Yeah, but I mean, Drew Karpyshyn is one of the best game writers ever. There's no contest,
Yeah.
And then you had the death of the late Corey Gasper. He was another executive producer on the game, or lead designer, I believe.
Yeah.
So with all that said, like that also sparks the debate of saying, why are all these people leaving? Like, obviously, one person passed, and there's really nothing you can do about that. Like, there's no way that you can affect or predict that. But with Blair Brown leaving in July, Aaron Flynn leaving last summer, Drew Karpyshyn was the lead writer leaving in, I think he left in December, I believe. But with all these different departures, what does that mean for Anthem's development?
Well, I wish I could go back and, like when people didn't freak out about every little detail so much, and just gather the names of who leaves in the gaming community in 1 month. Like, you would be surprised the big names that people know today, how many studios they've hopped over where games, still did amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and if they don't have the story down by now, by the time, to get that into the game, then something obviously is worse, is going on that's worse there. So if the story, I think, is always the first thing to go up. The story gets up and everything gets built around that, right? So I just think the statement's true. He's done on Anthem. Lead writer has nothing else to do except hopefully, I guess oversee the story being implemented. But you write the story and then you're on to the next little bit. Either he does another game somewhere else, or he continues working at Bioware, which he'll probably already start another game there too.
Yeah. It's
just he's under the same roof and nobody knows and nobody really cares.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it's just I think all GMs and presidents, of companies, they leave to just try to bring a new, spark of life into companies.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. That's not a big deal. Drew leaving, I really think he was done.
Yeah, I think like the way I feel about Drew is that he was there with inception of Anthem, so he was kind of there to ignite the spark of the story. And I think they brought him back to kind of say, hey, this is what we've done over the last 5 years or so. What do you think? How can you help us tie this up so we can ship this game in 2 years? So that I think that's ultimately what he was brought in for. It wasn't necessarily like him to say like, look, you need to write everything. I think he was just kind of overseeing the project that he started.
Right, I thought he was there way before, like I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago.
No, he was. He started Anthem.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
But left in between.
Yeah.
So he had left for like 3 years and then came back. So
Okay.
that's kind of like what I feel at that point.
Yeah, because he was the lead guy at Carpation was there for all the Mass Effects, man, back in the day.
Yep. Yeah, the only one he didn't write for was Andromeda.
Yeah.
With I guess understandable a little bit now. I didn't think the story for Andromeda was terrible. It's just like it was tough to grasp, coming from the trilogy. So it was a tough transition.
Transition. I think it's a hard transition. Where do you go from there? Like the hero everybody fell in love with, maybe dead. I don't know. One of those things.
Might be dead.
Might be dead. Maybe not. Depends on what you chose. And so it's like, how do you pick it up from there? And I think going there wasn't a bad idea. It's like I said. It's just I think I believe what you say. There were a test bed kind of what we can pull out of Anthem. Like, so like, why don't you try this and maybe we can get these two games to coincide at the same time. So
yeah.
I think that was right.
Because there's definitely, I said it last week, is some of the abilities that you saw in Andromeda was all brand new. So if you see like the barricade in Anthem, you're like, oh, they got one on us now. Like, now I know.
Yeah, so we built that.
Yeah, so if you see like the barricade or the Aegis shield or something like that, you're like, oh, I know what they did now. They used all this stuff in Andromeda to test for Anthem. So yeah. I don't want to be that guy to think like that, because I think that Andromeda was a decent game. Like, it wasn't bad.
Yeah,
but at the same time, like, there's my conspiracy theorist hat is on right now. It has been for a few months now. So
yeah,
we'll see that once the game is out.
You just have,
we might know in a few weeks. For all we know, we'll see everything.
Hopefully,
it's less than 3 weeks. So
yeah,
it's just crazy. Right? It's been a year since we've seen like anything that like was brand new. Like right now, it's we have the same 7 minutes for the last year, and we're over here like pulling on little strings from every corner of the community. So there's the Reddits and the Discords and stuff like that, which I don't know if you saw today, but Mark Dara, he's one of the producers for Dragon Age, and he was working on Anthem as a world designer, and he said his contract was completed, or he had served out his contract, so he's no longer working on Anthem either.
Yeah, so he's like a freelancer coming in just helping out, or.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you said, he's still working on Dragon Age. Like, that's his thing. He's been executive producer on Dragon Age for pretty much the duration of it. He's been with them for a long time. And he was the other one that said about the redacted Bioware game that that no one knows anything about, but they want to keep talking about.
Yeah, I saw the Blair Brown tweet, but I didn't. My head's been stuck in Destiny for the last 4 months. So
yeah, for good reason.
I'm so behind. Yeah, I'm so behind on news.
But it's just interesting to see how some people are so quick to say these are bad things, and then other people are just like, oh wait, he's done. Like, we understand that once you get to a point of like the worlds are done, you don't need to touch them anymore, and like, yeah, we're a year out, but they're not gonna touch that stuff anymore. So if he's the lead world designer, all that stuff is done, so we don't have to worry about it.
It's all the stuff that fills the world after that. Like, it's like I said, I wish I could go back during development periods and see all the people that left certain companies at that time, that when it really wasn't a big deal and people weren't breaking down every little snippet of news, to see who left and what. Like, look at all the people that left during this game, and it's like game of the year. Like, yeah. So I'm sure people leave all the time. It's just now a bigger deal because of the past.
And I think just now it's like the age of information that we're in.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just a constant
instant.
We can get information at any second of the day and pretty much know where somebody lives, like that, to that degree of information, and it's just we can dissect that any way we want.
Yeah.
So that's it for like that particular news front, but EA Play and E3 is, like we said, in less than 3 weeks. So what do you expect to see in regards to Anthem? You're gonna be there, correct? Like that's you.
Yeah, I'm just waiting on the time slot to figure out when I'm gonna be actually flying out.
Yeah, no, that's just awesome though. Like I wish I had the time and money and no kids.
I've been thinking about this.
You know,
yeah,
so-
yeah, I'm sure that doing family life and then working and doing something on the internet, like whether it's streaming or YouTube, it's a full life. Like it really is.
You know, and people don't realize that, and like obviously like we're still trying to grow our brands and grow our channels, but you know,
Absolutely.
people that have like these really huge established channels, like they get heckled by people every single day and say, you just play video games on the internet all day, like that's not a real job. It's like, no, that's not true. Like
get up at 3 a.m.
I do this part-time and it's a full-time job. So if
Yeah.
somebody does this full-time, it's like 2 full-time jobs. So
Yeah.
I don't like I have trouble with people grasping that. Like I don't know if their parents are telling them this is not a good career path or something like that. Like deal with that on your own time. Like don't take that out on the people that are trying to sit here and make content and entertain people, because that's their passion, that's their drive. They want to do that for people, you know. And if other people think that's not a good idea, then sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so what like back to the original question? What do you expect to see from Anthem? Like do you think we're gonna get like a real tangible thing?
See, that's where I'm kind of confused. Like I remember reading on the E3 website, it says Anthem will be on the floor at EA Play, you know, in 2018. And so that was originally what got me excited. That was the reason, like, all right, well, if that's the case, I got to be there to check it out. And so, but now it seems like the more I ask about it, the more it kind of shies away. Like I asked one of the social media managers about it, and he said there will be nothing capturable. So I'm assuming that means it's going to be like a live demo is what I think is going to happen. Now, hopefully they'll surprise us, and they're just not letting me capture because I don't have, you know, like 300,000 subscribers or something. And that's what. But I expect to see they're going to do a live demo of it, probably in front of everybody, and then hopefully if we're lucky enough, we'll have a small snippet of the same thing they played that we could access. But I think we're going to get to see the live version of it, like actual, you know, keyboard, mouse in hand.
Do you think being hands-on, you're going to see more than what people see on the show?
I don't know. It just depends if they actually allow us to see it afterwards. Like, so I think the main thing they're going to focus on is what a lot of companies do. You know, they're going to have some big YouTuber or streamer up there. They're going to play it in front of a live audience, and that'll probably be rehearsed. So
apparently it's Snoop Dogg and Zac Efron. I mean, they did Battlefield a couple last year, right? Or they had that huge thing with Battlefield last year. Like Stone Mountain was there, and Snoop
Big
Dogg
Show does
and it was
Destiny. Like,
it's crazy, absolute
Big
madness. But I mean, we're
I'm not sure what to expect.
What's the negative? What's the negative connotation? You know, not having something like that at this point in the game.
It can be taken 2 ways. You know, it can be taken as in Bioware's always been cryptic about everything. You know, they just have that about them. They'll say one thing for an entire year, and then they'll explode something like a month before release.
Yep.
So either they're just trying to, you know, keep the hype up while just kind of like drip feeding everything, or maybe they're just not ready to show what they have yet. I don't know. Or it could just be that it's not, like, it's playable in a certain way, but just not enough to get it in people's hands yet. Like, it's still, you know, all development tools. I really have no idea.
Like maybe they don't have like a universal
way to for everyone to play it.
I mean, all signs point to the fact that they're gonna primarily demo it on Xbox One X.
Yeah.
But that's really gone to, you know, what we've seen yet, you know, so we don't really know what we're gonna get out of it. We don't know what they're gonna show. They haven't given us any snippet of information except for the fact that they've been really quiet on all media platforms for the last month or so. So they're like head down, ready to get this thing done and get it in some sort of playable state. So I don't know if that means hands-on or not hands-on.
Well, you remember the milestone that they finally finished. Like, I think that was a month and a half ago now. This is the major milestone we have for this time of the year is completed, and I think that is what they're showing for EA Play.
Yeah.
So whether or not that's going to be a playable demo for the public to get their hands on, or if it's going to be a live audience, like getting, you know, demo, I'm not really sure. So But I will definitely let you know, because I mean I'm excited to see. No matter what happens, I'm excited.
Either way. So I mean, let's jump into the next question. What do you hope to see? So are you going just for EA Play? Or are you going for E3? The most of the thing.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna go for EA Play. Like it's expensive down there.
No, I hear you. I've spent some time in Southern California, and it's not something I want to do on a frequent basis. But I mean, next year, I do plan on going next year. So that's my hope and dream, to be able to get out there. But that's another topic of conversation. So what else besides Anthem would you potentially be excited to see?
I'm excited to what they're like. Well, like I said, once again, what a whole studio can do when they put all their heads together. Also, because they have so many different games that they do. It's different studios, so to actually get everybody together to see all those ideas come to life, and they're really ambitious, man. They're trying to put in all of these programs to from flying in the air to seamlessly underwater to having all these these shader configurations that take damage in real time, and environmental destruction. Like, there's so many things that they're trying to do and they're testing out that I think they're really trying to push the envelope here, and that's what I'm excited about the most. Trying to see, like, when you actually work out all the bugs of Frostbite and you have a lot of time under your belt with all the development, what you can pull from that and to max it out and to really show your IP. I think that's what I'm most excited about seeing.
Like, I haven't been this excited for a new release since Destiny. Like, original Destiny was, I bought my Xbox One like a year in advance. Like, I bought it strictly to play Destiny. I was like, I'm buying this. I'm buying Destiny. I bought it at the same time. Like, I pre-ordered Destiny at the same moment. And I the feeling I have now, and like the feeling the first time I saw the trailer was like the same time, like, I saw the Citadel for the first time. It's like those moments that Bioware brings you. And like Bungie has brought us with Destiny, like the first time you finished the Vault of Glass was like the most like triumphant,
the best feeling
thing, like
hands down. Like, you're just it's like a goosebump kind of moment. You're
like,
wow,
absolutely. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it again. Like seeing or talking to Sovereign for the first time. Like those are like the types of things that I look forward to in a game. Like moments that you never forget ever again.
Yeah, people underestimate the power of of a good campaign and a good story. Yeah, everything's going multiplayer.
Cinematics in general,
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, look at the cinematics in Destiny. Like, even though the story is like this was just it is what it is, but the cinematics they brought over the last couple times, and in their map design speaks volumes about the game itself. Even though it's you wish you could know more. Everybody wishes they could know more, but just the total map design, especially in raids, like you go into this. Like, especially the new one, like the Rasputin area, like the Mind Lab. You see this huge, just cavernous thing with AI in the middle, and it just shows you like the power of what not saying anything but showing it can do. And I think Anthem's gonna have a lot of that in it.
I personally, like, I think the hearing Rasputin for the first time, like in person, was scary as hell.
Kind of creepy. Yeah.
Oh my god! Like, I thought Skynet was taking over, and like the controller was gonna choke me out. Like, I was ready to surrender to the robot overlords, man. Like, it was, but that's what you need. Like, that's what you need. Like, you need to be taken away from like that normal, experience of a game and be taken somewhere else. And that's why I play games like Destiny and Mass Effect and that, like, fantasy. Fantasy is like, okay, like I can get into Dragon Age every once in a while or something like that. But sci-fi fantasy, like, I want to go to other planets because it's something that I'll never do in my life.
Yeah. You need to be transported somewhere, like, with your headphones on, or you're focused at the screen, and you get transported there through the story, through the map design, the world telling. Like, that's what I think. That's what every great sci-fi game strives to be. And that's why I've always been a Bioware fan, because they can create this universe that, like when you fly in a ship, you know what the technology of the ship is. Like when you put on a Javelin suit, you're gonna know how that Javelin works. It's not just, I'm flying around in a suit that propels me stuff. I'm sure there's going to be something in the game that tells you how it works, some kind of codex type of deal. Like, so it's it's going to be exciting.
Well, it's funny you bring up codex, because that's definitely another good question. How do you set the expectation for someone expecting a traditional Bioware experience? Like, you are very well versed at this point in the looter shooter MMO light type of game now. How would you set an expectation for someone that's expecting a story driven, relatively linear Bioware type of experience, with companionships and romances and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
we might not get that. That's
a tough
the
question,
truth.
man. That's the truth. It might be something just completely new, something they're just going to, completely out there. I still think you'll have the Bioware, trademark Bioware signatures everywhere. But in terms of going in there, just it's just you and just the fictional characters. I don't know if we're going to quite get that. I think they said that the story will be soloable. You can play it by yourself. You don't need to have all your friends with you and everything. You can if you want, but
But is it going to be like is it going to be like Destiny, where you could do the same thing?
Yeah.
Destiny's entire story was playable by yourself.
It was. Yeah. I mean, that's so for what I read, that's what they're trying to go for. Now, in terms of end game content, that's going to be tough because that end game focuses around team play usually. Yeah. And so how do you tame expectations? I don't know. I think you need to like or don't like until you step out of your comfortable zone. You never know. I was never like a big multiplayer person until to basically went into Destiny. Like that was my first real step into out of this single player world, just into multiplayer. And then when I found out the joys of playing with your friends and nice people, there's always the bad side about it. You go to LFG and you just get complete
I don't even like hearing the words.
LFG, it's like a cringe moment. Like
it's like the biggest cringe moment.
Yeah, but there's a better side to that, and you gotta find that. Once you find it, I don't see how you can't like it.
I think, like you said, people need to be a little bit more open to different experiences. Like I understand that people want to have the gameplay for themselves, but if they want to maximize the quality of the content, they need to focus more on how to make these end game activities very, very good. So I mean, Destiny is a perfect example of saying like the story is okay, the story is good, it gets you through what you need to get to, and it kind of opens up the mechanics of everything else. How strikes work, how things in the raid are going to work, but ultimately their biggest time investment needs to be in those end game things, whether it be how to get there, like the progression systems, or designing the encounters themselves, because those are the activities that people are going to spend the hours on. Like it's not like a campaign where like even original Mass Effect is like 40 hours. You can get through it in 40 hours. It's not that's not that like Andromeda was 120.
Yeah, it took me, like 80 to 100 hours. I forget the total number, but it was.
Yeah, I 100 or 98%, and it was 120 hours. Like that's crazy. I mean, Destiny 1 was 20 hours. Destiny 2 was like 10.
Yeah.
But the things you want to get into are the end games activities. And like even playing Destiny, and getting to that end game activity, maybe go back to Borderlands and say, oh, there's other stuff besides just finishing the story. Like
it's like where it originated. You see the roots of games in other games. Like you see where they came from, the inspiration, and like every 10 years or so, a new kind of group graduates from development school or something, and they get their inspiration from what they grew up with.
Yep.
And they iterate on that. And I think we're going to get a great campaign from Bioware no matter what. I think that's why it's taking so long, is like because we're going to get a good campaign because that's what they're known for, right? They're going to bring that, but they're trying to do something new with this end game, which they've never really done before. Like I mean, they have Star Wars, but it's kind of an older game now. Things have evolved, and to take a brand new a brand new engine that they're still trying to work the bugs out of and trying to make an experience like that, I think is what they're really trying to focus on, both sides, and that's what's taking so long.
And I think the thing with Star Wars too is that you have a base already. It's not like they're creating some new world. It's a lot of it had a base.
Yeah, like
I mean, Drew Karpyshyn wrote a lot of Star Wars. He was a big contributing factor to a lot of the extended universe before it was taken out by Disney. But that's another thing to get into at some other point. But Anthem is built from the ground up, and they're building the story, and I think people are gonna enjoy what they see. If you've never played a Bioware game, you're in for a treat. I think that goes without saying. And there's a lot of people out there that too. Like I was really surprised to see some people that are as excited they are for Anthem and never play a Bioware game.
Yeah, they never played Mass Effect. I need to try Mass Effect. I was like, you never what?
Yeah, exactly. Don't play Andromeda. Like I tried to. Someone said that, like, the guys at Freelancer Codex, one guy's like a devout Bioware fan. He played almost everything that they've ever come out with, all the way from Baldur's Gate to to Mass Effect Andromeda. The 3 other guys never did. Some of them dabbled in Andromeda, but never played another one. They said, like, what do we play? I was like, dude, you have to play Mass Effect 2. Don't play any. If you don't play any other Bioware game, play Mass Effect 2.
Play number 2. Yeah.
Play Mass Effect. It's my favorite game of all time.
Yeah, you can't really appreciate Andromeda until you play the other games. Like, then you see what they're going for. Just playing it by itself, it's not a bad sci-fi game. Just go out and explore, and like an adventure game almost. It's like, but you really start to appreciate the nuances after you played the first 3 games.
Yeah, and I think Andromeda is like a great like throwback to Mass Effect 1. There was so many things in Mass Effect 1 that you could see that they wanted to continue doing moving forward, but they just stripped out a lot of those systems to make it a more fluid game, and a game that's more easily accessible to people that aren't used to playing RPGs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're trying to. It's kind of like what Destiny 2 did. They went to, instead of doing they're just focusing for the hardcore players, they try to broaden it for everybody.
Yeah.
It seems like when you broaden it too much, you start pulling away from what you're good at. And
I never really looked at it that way, and it's like 100% true too. Like, if you look, even like the weapon system. So like, if you look at the weapon system, Mass Effect 1, and like everything was random. You can go find a gun here, do this, that, and the other thing. Like Mass Effect 2, you got everything at specific intervals.
Yeah.
Like, if you wanted to go get, like the Black Widow, you knew exactly where it was. So like, okay, I have to put in this amount of time, I can go get the Black Widow. It's there. Like, yeah. I can circumvent all these other things if I want to have that gun early, or as early as possible. 1 wasn't like that. If you wanted to get certain things, like you had to buy things, and Destiny did the same thing. Like, I never put that together before.
Yeah.
But it's 100% true. Like, they stripped a lot of things down. I don't like the way that. I never thought I'd be the guy to say that I don't like the not random rolls, but I don't.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, you don't realize how big of a I don't know how big of a part they played until they're not there, and that's probably another thing they just didn't foresee. They thought that what they would do would work, and obviously it's not. So
no, and I understood the reason why they did it, because random rolls made balancing PvP absolutely impossible.
Yeah.
So if you put the static rolls, in, it makes competitive that much better. The problem is that competitive Destiny just didn't take off in Destiny 2, and now they're saying, oh wait, now the system that we put in place just to do this particular thing doesn't do anything, because that whole thing that isn't there anymore.
Yeah, it didn't really work.
So
yeah, I know they got some fixing to do, but I think we'll slowly get there.
They're well on their way at this point, and like I was watching the Mesa Sean video today, and I know that you're close to Mesa.
Well, I wouldn't say really close, but yeah, like we talk every once in a while.
Good, good resource for you.
Yeah.
But he even said that the new game mode that he played was very good, and a lot of people said they didn't want to put it down. Like, they were more focused on that thing that's going to be coming out in September, or maybe in July or whatever like that. But that's good, and I think that's a good. Let's move that, take that into the next topic of conversation that we did touch on last week as well. Is community management and how the developers are going to focus moving forward. Okay. BioWare was very transparent up front with Andromeda, very involved. They wanted to know people's feedback. They wanted to, know where the game was going. And then all of a sudden, the second they said they weren't supporting anymore, done. Nobody's talking anymore. Fernando Mello, Fabrice, they all stopped talking. Like, you never heard anything about the game anymore. And it was just like, what happened?
Yeah.
And now you have Destiny they've been very vocal. Like, they've even brought extra community managers on to be able to field a lot more questions, a lot more community concerns.
Yeah, to fill that role.
Division, Hamish Bode is like setting the standard for community management. Like, he's been very active from day one.
Since the beginning. Yeah, since the beginning, Division handled community stuff well.
What do you think we could expect? Because I think Andrew Johnson is the lead community manager for Anthem.
I'd have to. Maybe that's the guy I talked to. I have to go back and look, but I know they have a couple. They have one for like Europe.
Yeah, part Welsh. Like, part Welsh is in Europe.
They have a North American one. But if it's going to be as big a game as I think it's going to be, they're going to need a lot more people.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to need, like, I know they do. They do the little updates once a month for Anthem, but they're going to need a dedicated source like Bungie has, or like the Division has, where they do a live stream, or whether it's going to be on a forum or just on an EA website or Anthem website. They're going to need a dedicated space that people can go to get the official information. because even though everybody tries to make it as official as possible, it's not official until it comes out of their mouths, or
I agree.
they're typing. So
I agree.
hopefully they'll expand on that. So I'm sure we'll know more. Like, that's another question I had for them going there, is I want to try to meet these guys and see what the plan is. Like, how can we get in contact with these people?
Yes, I think the community team needs to be more apparent now.
Yeah, early in, so people know where to go.
Yeah, so I know my friends at Mulehorn Gaming are in touch with Andrew Johnson, and his title is the global community manager for Anthem.
Yeah, let me see.
But I don't know if they're gonna have like you said, specific areas, because everything else that we've seen has been EA. Part Welsh is EA. Conal Pierce is Bioware as a whole. We haven't seen a specific Anthem community manager for any particular area. I think everyone's working together now, and they're all kind of just focusing on getting the community connected. But there hasn't been a defined line of like, this is who you go to, these are the channels you go to. Like, we can post any day of the week on the Bungie forums and know that they see it.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether good, bad, or indifferent, they're gonna see it. Same thing. And they're very active on Reddit too. But that's the other thing. I mean, Reddit, we've only seen like Brennan Holmes. We see a lot. I think
he was silent for a while.
I think. Oh well, it's the whole thing. He was actually on in the Discord the other day talking about some stuff. Him and they've all been active a lot the last few days. Velrec, I don't know what his name actually is, or Ecliptica. They're two other developers. People have their Discord aliases, but Mark, yeah. I personally talked to Mark this morning, cool. And kind of just shot the breeze about some other things that we were talking about. Some of these YouTube pundits, if you will. And they were just kind of laughing about it, some of these big names we were talking about before. But either way, they need, like, the transparency needs to be there. Yeah.
Because people look for that. Like, they see the transparency, and that's how it all starts. That's how you get a good community together, is with transparency and with it early. Just like the Division. I mean, Division had its up and downs, but they've had a hardcore base since the beginning because of that. Yeah. Like, even during the worst time of Division, they were still getting like 10,000-15,000 viewers for their morning like weekly show, State of the Game. So that's it's something they need to start working on here soon. I really think probably why they weren't busy recently is a lot of community managers do things at public events, like for instance Deeds for Destiny. He's at every big public event, setting stuff up, working with the crowd, and they're probably all focused on how they're going to deliver this at EA Play, because this is going to be depending on when it launches, this could be this could be it, or it could be one more, so we don't really know. Yeah. Now,
do you think they'd make a presence at other things, like they're not big into Gamescom from what I've seen? Like, they didn't do Gamescom last, or for Andromeda or anything like that, or like on the Andromeda train or anything like that. But I would say that they might.
I think so as well. It's
this
so
close.
Big.
This close, you got it. I think.
Yeah, it's kind of like a last push. Like, if you can't do it now, when are you going to do it? And and I think they're going to go. I think they're going really big with this one, and I think EA's backing them up as one of the bigger games coming out for the year. So if that's the case, I think probably EA will. If nothing else, we'll see something from EA push it over there. Yeah. So at least I hope so. Because it needs to start working on getting stuff out there.
I agree. I want to start hounding these people. I know.
I already do. So
we've been talking. I've been talking to Bags from Anthem Insider, and we're gonna have him on next week. But he is relentless. I think he just eats, sleeps, and does everything else Anthem. And basically, from the time he wakes up to the time he goes to sleep, he's bugging somebody about it, and it's like the tenacity that people need, And I'll just brief thing, like a few weeks ago, before Warmind came out, True Vanguard actually said that on YouTube, that with downsides to the game, some people will leave and not come back, and then new characters will rise. New people in the community will rise to promote content and do new things. And Anthem is that opportunity for a lot of people out there that want to get their feet wet in content creation. And people have to realize that. Like, it's like every week now there's more people doing it. There's more so people need to jump at these opportunities, and I think he's doing a great job at Anthem Insider. He ran with that opportunity. It went from like, I announced I was going to do the show, and literally the day afterwards, he messaged me on Discord, and I was like, "You need to get in here." Like I was driving a truck and on the phone in Discord and like talking to him, and I was like, he's like, "All right, we're gonna do the show Saturday." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
just
that's
instantly like the people in the Anthem community is just like immense, like the support people want to give out right now. It's incredible. There's some people that don't really believe in the content creators right now, but we are the people that are gonna drive this.
Yeah, we're just waiting. We're just waiting until
There's only so many videos you can make on 7 minutes of gameplay.
Exactly, and even though people still do it, they every once in a while they'll like just a tweet. They'll make a video about a tweet, but I'm trying to keep things as factual as possible. And like I said in the beginning of the show, if you nothing to talk about, you start spinning circles, going into speculation, and that's something I'm trying to avoid at all costs because I want to make sure that people get the message, they get it truthfully, and they get it like loud and clear, and they know what to expect. And just saying the same thing over and over again, you're just going to end up hurting yourself and the property as a whole. Because people believe YouTubers are like the insiders. Yeah. And it's true in some forms, but some forms it's also not. So you got to be careful. And I mean,
I think you did it great with Andromeda. Like it was like every once a month, at first, and then you do twice a month, and then every week you're starting to get information. So that it just ramps up with more stuff that you get. But like when there's as little as we've had so far, you could do a recap once a month and be okay with the information we've had so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So
so like that was a big thing about 3 or 4 weeks ago, where an early leak. A 4chan leak said we were going to get this game in Q4 2019, and we were all like, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I know. I saw that along with like all the other games they talked about, and I guess we'll find out soon enough, man.
Oh yeah, if they push it to Q4 2019, well, but it is Q4 2019. I mean, I think that said holiday 19. Which maybe they just misinterpreted Q4 19, which technically Q4 19 is March 2019 by their physical calendar.
Yeah, by the calendars, yeah.
So let's go to the last closing thoughts here that we have. What are your, because I mean we've already talked about temporary expectations with what we have and how to realistically remain excited while not expecting too much. Mm-hmm. So we won't go too much into that without talking in circles again. But what kind of hesitations do you have with the final product that we may get from BioWare next year?
The only hesitations I have is like I said, they're inexperienced with end game. That is the only thing. I know we're going to get when you get the game hands on, it's going to be just like Destiny. The campaign's going to be pretty good, especially Destiny 2. The campaign was the best one that I thought so far that they released, even though the end game was gone. But in terms of campaign, it was great. And I think this is going to be kind of the same thing, but just 10 times better. We're going to get our hands on. We're going to see this big, beautiful world, tons of stuff to do. The campaign's going to be great. How they transition from that campaign storytelling to the end game. That's because, like I said, it's a completely different world out there now. And how they do that and handle that will ultimately be the hinder or just promote them to success. That's the only thing I have reservations on is how they transition from that and how they can support it and how fast they can support it. Because that
was my next thing is the consistency of how frequently we get it. Are we going to get content drops every 6 months? I think every 6 months is going to be too far. Mm-hmm. It's got to be like a quarterly thing where we get something, or monthly events, some monthly thing going on. They have to stay relevant. There's going to be too much stuff going on to not do something frequently,
especially with all these other live service games like that. And
absolutely.
And even if you look at Bungie, they're trying. Well, I'm sure they made this stuff in the past, but they're trying to do it every 4 months. Bring out something new, and even it's not all that big. So imagine doing something that's like it has those worlds that are immense and trying to add on to that. That takes time. It takes a lot of time to create, and we'll see how they handle that.
I think you bring up a great point though, is like transitioning into that end game, because that's something that Destiny and Division didn't do great. You kind of just have these things now. There's extra activities. There's no build up for it. And I think with a company like BioWare, people are going to expect that.
Yeah, they will.
Like you had all this great story. Now there's some sort of story or lore behind these end game activities. What's the point? How does that tie into the original story? And how is that going to tie into the next set of activities or content?
Yeah, the continuation. People, no game so far has had a great continuation to tie in all the DLCs. Like Division did their thing with Underground, and even though I loved Underground, I thought it was fun. There was no story to it. There's no real reason to.
Yeah, it's just like go down there and kill people.
Exactly, and just do it over and over again. It was a great like looter shooter thing, but that was it. There was really no tie into it, and that's my concern about it, because people go to Bioware for their story to to lose themselves in that world, and that's what people will expect, and that's hard to do in a multiplayer end game scenario. So we'll see how they, like I said, they're trying to do new things, and I'd rather throw my support to a company who's going to just, they've been putting their biggest moneymaker, Dragon Age, on hold to try to make this thing. So they could put out Dragon Age first, right? Yeah. So, like, why not? So I give a support to a company who wants to break the mold and try something new any day.
Yeah, I agree. So what's the one, like, or what's one random thing that you'd want to see, like, that would, like, just get you super excited for, no reason at all? Like, for me, I want to see orange shaders. It's my favorite color. I want my Javelin to be bright orange.
Like Halloween pumpkin orange the whole way down.
Yeah, absolutely. So like, what types of things, or like, let me be able to put, like, Christmas lights on it or something crazy like that. Like, what's, like, that one, like, really non-factor that you want to see just for the fun of it?
Just for the fun of it, man. How about paint, man? Like, you ever just, like, I forget what game it was. It was an early build I played, but it was, you could go out there and your shader was stuff you made yourself. It was like, it was a really, like, it was just like something you go on and you just get these colors and you just color it up and you could actually wear it. And it was in game, but it was so funny. And imagine being able to make your own shaders. I think that would be awesome. But that's not realistic. But
yeah,
especially for that big of a game.
So, do you think like there's gonna be like crafting or something like that? Like,
I don't know.
I think Andromeda did crafting pretty well.
Yeah, it was deep. The menus were deep, but once you learned it, they did it. It was complex. Like, there was a lot of stuff you could do with.
I like to put in laser rounds and everything.
Just load them all up.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. Just like, you could literally put like laser rounds, like from the Rieger carbine, like on everything. Yeah, they
did a good job with that. I bet you that took a lot of work to create and work on all the bugs for all those things.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that, like, this is, so basically, like, I guess that's how their system worked. That, like, this is just something, like, this is the slot in the weapon that makes this do this thing, and we can realistically just take that out and put it into anything else. I mean, that's a really cool way to look at it too. To say, like, you can pretty much break down anything that we can give you and make it into something else. And like the Scorpion pistol, the little grenade launcher one, that was like my favorite thing in Mass Effect 3. I love using that in multiplayer.
I remember seeing the what was his name, the Solarian captain that you.
Oh, Carey.
Captain Carey. Yeah, he's using it right at the end and just blows everybody up. I was like, oh, I need it.
Yep.
I need it. But yeah, I think if we could break down, like, weapons into mod parts, like, of course Fallout has like one of the best crafting things ever, but something along those lines where stuff that all the extra loot that you have that you ground for and you don't really want it anymore, if you could take those into parts and create mods for your Javelin, I think that would be something that would be a great system to use, and also something to focus on, to be able to, say you need this super special mod, but it takes so many parts to get. Well, that's another endgame activity to grind for, and that's what people are looking for.
That's actually something we didn't touch on, is like there's confirmed 3 classes, so how do you think those classes are gonna break down?
Like the Ranger and the tank kind of deal.
Yeah, so the other one, like, we don't really have a name for it, but the other class is like people call it the Hunter.
The Hunter, or
the
teleporting one.
The Techno Mage, if you will, so like, how do you you think they're gonna be like role defined, or is it gonna be like, I don't know. I keep speculating like how to break them down, because it's
another question I have. I don't know which way they're trying to go. I don't know if they're trying to go more for like an MMO type deal, like with this big tank guy being able to shield everybody. Like, is the other one being able to drop health packs? Is the one who teleports, can you go invisible and flank from behind? We don't really know where that's going.
Yeah.
And so it could be just like Destiny, where there's just 3 random characters, and they can help each other out at times, but not like true MMO can, where you depend on these people to for your team to get through.
Yeah.
So I believe going the MMO route would actually get more people involved, rather than just have 3 classes that just kind of do their own thing. But again, that's more systems to work on and tie everything together, which is big balancing, again, another big deal.
Yeah.
So
I think EA Play we will see something tangible as far as like what each of the 3 classes do.
Mm-hmm. or at least
And
a good hint to what like
yeah,
what the final thing
I
will
think
be.
we have to at this point. I think if they don't show us anything, it's a real that's a real issue at that
Missed
point.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't even think it's a missed opportunity. I think it's like
Neither in trouble.
you haven't showed us much in the last year, so like how is this gonna work? Like you've definitively confirmed that there's 3 classes, but you haven't said how they work. You know what you can put on them. You know what the 3rd class is for that matter. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think
troubling times.
Troubling time. Like I said it on Anthem Insider too. If we get out there to EA Play and it's really disappointing, we know what's in store for the next year, and we'll probably be looking at another delay. If it's going to be that ambiguous, I guess.
Don't say it.
I don't want to say it, man, but if you really look at the things, like the best games like of the last decade, they've all had super long development times. Yeah, like 8 years and stuff, and they've all been amazing games. Like The Witcher. The Witcher took forever to make, and like those other games, the longer they are, the better it actually is for us. And even though I don't want to say it because I'm really looking forward to it, I want to get my hands on it ASAP. But it is really in the best interest. That's why I didn't mind the last one. But that's just me personally. So
yeah, I agree. So we'll see if we got questions here, and we'll try to. Whoops, wrong one. I have too many buttons. The stream deck is like the greatest thing ever. Like I don't know if you have one or you've seen
the
them.
Elgato one.
Oh, they're the greatest things ever. But like I have so many different things, and like there'll be a point where I don't need stuff anymore, and I don't take them off. So you have like 15 buttons lit up, and not enough stuff. Not enough fingers to figure out where they go. So we'll take questions here. I know chat's been a little light today. So if anyone has questions for me or Sly about Anthem, the development, potential rumors, anything like that. So otherwise, I know Sly's gonna go play Destiny because he's like chest deep in Destiny right now.
I gotta go finish some stuff. I'm actually like half done with half completed with my final boss guide for the new raid. So I need to get some more shots on that before I finalize it.
Yeah, it's crazy. That it's definitely like the most intense encounter. And seeing them now how fast they're completing it.
Yeah, they are, and they dropped a lot of mechanics this time. There's a lot of stuff to do. So
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it's all good stuff though. It's not. It's like that's something that Anthem can definitely learn from this, is that you can't make it like super easy and expect everybody to
Yeah, they blow through it and then they're bored. So
yeah,
that's
like we don't need another Crota raid.
We don't. Even though that was probably one of my favorite times in Destiny, we don't need another Crota raid.
Yeah, one of my favorite times. Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's definitely one of my favorite times of Destiny. But I mean, it
content-wise,
far and away the worst raid.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you could basically just glitch the entire thing. It was funny.
You can get to the one get all the way to the end by yourself.
Yeah, you can beat it by yourself. I've done it. Like you just go from the beginning to the end. You're done.
Oh boy,
so, more of a strike.
I mean, bringing it back in Age of Triumph with the changes was awesome.
That was the best thing they've done so far. Like the end of D1 was an awesome place.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, how's your PC build coming, by the way?
It's the build is awesome. It's the funds.
The fun, yeah. So yeah, it takes a while to save up for something good.
So it's. I tried playing Destiny 2 on PC and stream like 2 weeks ago, and the GPU was just like, nah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, that's why I can't stream, man. It's just like once we especially get into PvP, I'm seeing like 20 frames a second, missing shots everywhere. It's like, okay, I can't show this. No one wants to watch this junk.
But it looks amazing. It looks incredible.
Vicarious Visions did an awesome job on the PC build. Yeah, that is for sure.
Oh, but soon enough. I mean, if I can get scrounge some change together, and by change I mean like $2,000, it'll happen. But yeah. we gotta wait for the crypto bubble to pop a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's been okay right now. Like right now, I mean, you can get 1070 Ti for like 25 to 50 over MSRP, which is terrible.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But that's the best value in a card right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was trying to shoot for. I wanted to go for the straight up 1080, but that was about the same time in the crypto bubble.
$100 more. That's like, if you look at the benchmarks, it's actually not that far. If you overclock the 1070 Ti, it's not that far from the 1080. The only problem is that like when you're doing super high intensity, like if you were doing Destiny 2 or something like that, you'd lose just a little bit of speed because GDDR5X and the 1080, not the DDR5.
Five.
My whole day Saturday was just nothing but watching videos.
PC. I saw you on PC Part Picker. You posted something about it. I was like, yes.
Oh yeah. Like I'd finally figured out everything, and I'm like ready to go. I want to do it, and it was like, now I need money.
Yeah. You know, well, what is it? I built most of this one here, which isn't a bad rig, but I got most of that at Black Friday. That was like, I was like, oh, it's finally here.
I showed that last year.
Yeah.
Like the 1070 Ti just came out then, so like the prices were pretty competitive at that point. I was like before crypto took over.
Yeah, it seems like right around when the Vegas launched, that's when it exploded. And
yeah, well, that's why the 1070 Ti came out, was to compete with the 56 and the 64. So, oh, all right, we're enough talking about PC parts. I'll be here forever because it's like it's my new passion now to talk about PC parts and really like dive into that, because I will be playing Anthem on PC as well. So Xbox and PC. Sly, I believe, is the same thing. We'll be playing on Xbox and PC.
Same thing. Yeah.
I might have to buy a PS4. No. I almost did that for Destiny, and I'm glad I did.
almost did it too. I almost did it too because there's a lot of teams on there I could have linked up with to get raids done like the first day and stuff. But I've been on Xbox since I was like a sophomore in high school, so I was like, I can't.
Yeah,
I was back in the day where you couldn't even use spaces in your gamer tag. That's how long my gamer tag's been around. So
yeah, I've had mine's. Well, I've had this tag for a little while, but I've been Xbox dedicated since 2002, so 16 years.
Same
on
here.
Xbox, so
it's been a while.
All right, everyone, have an awesome night. Appreciate everyone hanging out, and we will catch you next week with the Anthem Insider at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday.